Hello and welcome to the Gold Goats and Guns Hour here on YouTube and Periscope. My name's Tom Luongo. I hope you're all having a good day. It's Monday, January 7th, 2019. Let's get this thing on the road. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. Got lost, was practicing my guitar badly. I have been for a couple of years now. Frustrating having been, having played some form of instrument for most of my life and I've transitioned so badly to a third instrument for all this time. It is quite frustrating, actually. So, but you keep plugging away at it, 20 minutes, half an hour every day. Eventually, you get to the point where you don't suck. Well, at least you suck less. So there's a life lesson in there, by the way. Not sure what it is, but there you go. All right, so. Yeah, you really don't want to listen to me play AC/DC badly. All right, well, whatever. That stuff's harder than it looks, by the way. A lot harder than it looks. Angus is a genius. All right, so for enough of that stuff. Enough wasting time waiting for everybody to get in chat and all of that happy. Since to be honest with you, I was, oh my God, it's 8:03. I've got to get started, and I don't even have a cup of coffee. So I have many instruments that I've played, at times very good and at times very bad in my life. The amount of time I have not spent playing the bass in the last 10 years, to be honest with you, is quite shocking. To be honest with you, whenever I pick up either of my basses, and both of them are hanging on the wall over there, which you can't see just off camera, I'm just continually amazed at how far behind I am relative to where I was, or even where I was in college. So just quite, but no one to blame but myself, certainly. All right, enough of that stuff. Let's get on to the geopolitics. Let's get on to the fun stuff. The reason why you guys show up here every Monday nights at 8 and Friday nights at 8:30. But that was a plug and organic. All right, let's do it. So, Salvini. The yellow vests and the end of the Europe as we know it, right? That's my talk for this evening. So this morning, threw up a video about Salvini attacking Emmanuel Macron, French President Emmanuel Macron, directly going after him over situation with the ongoing situation with the yellow vests. Now, a couple of things happened in the last week or so that might make this interesting, because I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who is French, and not just of French heritage, but who is actually French, speaks with the accent. Was asking him about this. So what do you think is going on here, and how long do you think this is going to go on, and what do you think the end game on this is going to be, and all that stuff. And and he's young, he's I think 30, which is interesting because being a millennial and whatnot, he's also got a good head on his shoulder. People like him make me feel a little less apprehension about it. Great guy, really like him. Got a good head on his shoulders, especially as far as politics. He was saying that he didn't think it was going to go much farther. That eventually, the French government would buy them off, and eventually, okay, and things would go on the way they're going on until the next time elections came through or whatever. But that really this wasn't going to go very far. Well, that was a couple of weeks ago. That was like, I think when he was here for Christmas. He was the friend of mine that I invited over. And I'm going to ask him what he thinks about this now that we're 2 weeks on. And it's not dying down, because it was dying down, right? The yellow vest stuff was dying down a couple of, right around Christmas and whatnot. It wasn't quite as high pitched as it was previous to that. But then again, it was the holidays, and while people want to save the world, they also want to spend time with their families at the important part of the year. So, no, there's another version of that saying, Colleen Jensen calling a spade a spade. That is truly racist, and I'm not going to repeat it here because I finally got my YouTube channel up to the point where there's actually people subscribe to it, and I would like to keep it that way. So we'll just keep that on the down low. All right, so so it's interesting now. things have picked back up again. And things have picked back up again in France because of two things. Well, the first is that over the weekend, Macron went out of his way to arrest one of the major leaders of the Yellow Vest movement, trying to pin him on it. It doesn't really matter because they don't, with the French administrative law, they can pin anything on you. Which only intensified, was Act 8 this weekend. And there were more people in the streets than there were the week before. And now we see, I just saw the headline on Zero Hedge, and excuse me for a second while I look away from the chat to see what they're doing. That they're going to pass another law saying that they're not allowed to protest in France anymore. I mean, what's next, right? So hold on for a second. I want to get that. Right. Did I miss it? I know it was a big day today, but on Zero Hedge earlier. No. Sorry. This is important. No. Oh no, I saw it on my Twitter feed. Kind of important. Right, French PM says now new tougher laws on unauthorized protests coming. Like, are you kidding me, Macron? Seriously, are you kidding me? Like, it's otherworldly to think that, well, vilification of these people didn't work. That only made them angrier. Calling them thugs, and here in the United States now we're down to calling us 10-toothed morons. That didn't work. So then they tried buying them off, some tax breaks, some minimum wage stuff. And this is what my friend was responding to. He's like, that should probably be enough to get them to calm down, and then the whole thing will just kind of figure out. But that's not what's going on here. This is something very, very, very big. And it's the worst kind of very big, because it's not being played in the media as big as it actually is, meaning they're downplaying it, and that means it's actually much deeper. The unrest is much deeper and much more widespread than they want, which is great. One, it tells you that it's not actually AstroTurf, and two, that it's really that it is truly a grassroots thing. It's jumped borders now. Now everybody's like selling. I think Amazon out of Yellow Vest yet? Because if they're not, they will be soon, because this thing's going ballistic, and it's going ballistic quickly. So gotta like that. And then I love the fact that Salvini came in here this morning from Italy and sided with the people over Macron, and that's a brilliant thing. And that's a purely tactical move on his part, and strategic move on his part as well. It's very important that he did that. Makes perfect sense why he, because he, in order for him to continue building his case with the Italian people. I wish Salvini ran. With the Italian people, that the EU is the problem, that the euro is the problem. It makes it easier for him to do what would be the politically unthinkable thing not a year and a half ago, which is to start truly advocating for either leaving the euro or complete reform of the EU. And I've been saying since Salvini hit the scene that both he and Five Star have been attenuating their message for public consumption, and then going to bring them along slowly and allow the European Union to do all their dirty work for them, as opposed to going out and just being firebrands and saying, the EU is horrible all day, every day, and we need to get out of the euro, and yada yada, and all of that stuff. Why not play the game in such that you allow your opponents into unforced errors? That's truly the best way to win a political fight. Allow your opponent to make all the errors in the world, and then just stay out of their way. Help them along when they are making mistakes, and point out and poke them along their vectors where you can poke them. At times, Donald Trump has been brilliant at this. That's one of the things I love about the guy. It's too bad he doesn't follow through on anything, but I do love the fact that he can poke his opponents and get them to abreact and get them to say stupid shit and get them to do dumb things, and then prove what he was trying to prove in the first place. And that's one of the things I really like about Trump. And I notice that Salvini is very good at doing this as well. Very, very good at doing it. And having a strategic plan in place in order to attack the European Union. He's looking now less than 5 months ahead to European parliamentary elections in May. The European Parliament doesn't elect much, doesn't have much say over anything, but it does have say over who gets to be European Commission president. And with Macron's approval rating dropping like a rock, and with Marine Le Pen's support rising, the reality of the current makeup of the European Parliament, specifically the European People's Party, which is the dominant party within the EU Parliament, is completely misrepresented as of right now relative to what the people actually want. The map is going to look, the European Parliament is going to not look anywhere close to the same by the end of May. And it's almost a shame that Nigel Farage will not be there. Oh, they're very easy pots to stir. These people are really bad at this. See, remember, I've told you many times that power doesn't make you smart. Power makes you stupid. Let me try that. That's probably too loud now. Hold on for a second. If the mic... It's not the mic gain. There's 3 settings on this microphone. Tell me if that's better or worse. So I've been having it set on the middle setting. We'll see what happens. All right. So, what was I saying? So what's important is that the European parliamentary elections are going to see a massive uptick in Eurosceptic parties come the end of May. And it's almost a shame that Nigel Farage isn't going to be there to actually help form the coalition, that would then would elect the new European Commission president, who wouldn't be Jean-Claude Juncker. Well, Juncker's not standing for re-election, but I know the plan is for Merkel to step down between now and then as Chancellor of Germany and then transition over into European Commission president. But there's no freaking way that's going to happen if they can't keep, get enough seats, because you're looking at Alternative for Germany, probably pulling 20% of the vote. You're looking at the League and Five Star pulling 60% of the Italian vote. Okay, 60% of the Italian vote, if not 65%. I mean, no, in 2013, I think they got 12 or, no, like 15 or 18%. Right? So you've got Sebastian Kurz Freedom Party in Austria, the dominant party now. You've got Marine Le Pen's National Rally. That's it. I couldn't think of it this morning when I was doing my video. The Marine Le Pen's National Rally is probably going to poll 35%, if not 40%. Things keep going the way they are. So if you don't think that the Yellow Vests are working with Salvini and Orban and the rest of them, you got Viktor Orban's party in Hungary, for what it's worth. So you got France, Italy, and Germany, the 3 major parties, major countries in the EU that make up a bulk of the freaking population of the EU. Gonna vote Eurosceptic. It's unbelievable. Is that Sam Minchow? So German AfD chairman Magnus beaten to a pulp today. Looks pretty bad. Is that beaten to a pulp politically or physically? I didn't see it. And if anybody's got a link to it, to an article on this, that'd be good, because I didn't see it. I've been working on the newsletter all day and some other stuff. And matter of fact, I've got emails to send out of articles that I've written to editors that I haven't even sent out yet today. I've been so freaking busy trying to get everything done. So, wow. That's not good for them. So, it's on Zero Hedge? Okay, cool. Graphic chairman of Germany's far-right party brutally beaten with an inch of his life in assassination attempt. Are you freaking kidding me? Holy sheep shit. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this is not good. Yeah, no, the Yellow Vests are doing unbelievable work. Wow. Yeah, I looked away from Zero Hedge for like 3 hours today, and this is what I got. Unbelievable. Yeah, go look at the pictures on Zero Hedge, Colleen. It's insane. I mean, the front of his skull was caved in. It's really bad. It's unbelievable. Well, it's not unbelievable. The unfortunate part about it is it's not unbelievable. That's the problem. Wow. No, Stojanovic, I know that the EU likes to manufacture reality. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, but there's screwing with a vote total, and then they're screwing with a vote total, and they may be able to move the needle, a couple of percentage points in one direction or another through vote fraud. Don't get me wrong. That'll happen, but they won't be able to. They will not be able to move them 25-30%. That they won't be able to do. I'm getting distracted by the whatever you guys call these comments. That's what they are. Jesus, brain is just like not good today. Yeah, they really are. It's anyone who tells me we're not in a Weimar situation is going to be met with moron. User 13, always blunt. These people are setting up a fascist inevitability. It's not crazy as much as it's wholly predictable. That's whenever you think these people aren't willing to go lower, you're always disappointed. So, it's just insane. They may be able to mobilize the leftists to get Merkel elected. They may, because the SPD plus the CSU plus the CDU and the Greens in Germany, yeah, but it won't be what we've had previously. Remember, in 2013, AfD pulled like 1%. So if they pull 20% in Germany, or 22%, European parliamentary elections, you'll see numbers are for the minor parties are always higher than they are during national parliamentary elections. UKIP always did better in European parliamentary elections than they ever did in British elections. Twitter shadow banned the word patriot. Wow. Right, you're chronic jingoist now, because, that's such a better term than patriot. Orwell is just loving every minute of this. Unbelievable. All right, so it's really interesting to watch how this plays out. So it is really interesting how this is playing out. I haven't done the vote totals yet, right? Because from that perspective, I'm not going to do the numbers and say, well, can they pull it off? It's possible. It's certainly more possible than it's ever been in the past. They will work their asses off, and they will lean on as many people as possible, especially in all the minor parties, to get Merkel elected as European Commission president after she steps down. And that is obviously the plan. You've got 40% of Germans now want her to step down before the end of her term. She'll do so as a means by which to heal the divide and all this rotten nonsense. And then she'll move into the real position of power. It's the other reason why she and Macron are both pushing for the end of national sovereignty, because neither of them are going to be in power real soon anyway. And Macron has always been just a stand-in. It's Merkel who they want continuity with. They have a lot invested in Angela Merkel. So we'll see. I don't know. Let's see. Where are we? 20-minute mark. So what else did we want to talk about tonight? So if this continues, and I do believe that it will continue, the Yellow Vest movement in France, and I do believe that the polls will continue to swing away from the establishment parties in Italy, and it's and this is where AfD has got to get off the schneid. And this thing today may galvanize German voters in a way that we haven't seen before. I hate to say it, but this beating may wind up being a very good thing politically. And yes, they will spend tons and tons of money. You know how much money Soros is going to spend on this? So, but it's not just the European People's Party that they can take over. The minor parties are going to get massive injections of delegates as well. There's going to be a massive power shift within the EU. Whether or not it's enough to stop the Merkel remains to be seen. But truth be told, you know, when you have the deputy director of the IMF come out this morning, David Lipton, and add to what was said by another member of the IMF in December, which is that they're laying the groundwork for the fact that the central banks are not going to be able to contain the next crisis. So now we got David Lipton coming out and saying, oh, the central banks aren't even ready for the next recession, no less the next crisis. That's a huge dog whistle, guys, that they're ready for when this thing lets loose. It'll be insane. And the IMF stands ready to take control of the global banking system. Emergency presidential address tomorrow. BS or will Trump grow a pair? Fucking no. Who the hell knows what Trump's going to do? You know why? Because Trump doesn't know what Trump's going to do. He thinks he has a plan until somebody twists his arm. He's going to flip a coin. He's going to say one thing to everybody, and then 5 minutes later, when he actually addresses the nation, he's going to say something else. WB resignation. I'm not sure who you're talking about. Alison McVitie, email all the MEPs and ask if they have condemned the brutality of the French police. That's gas, batons, water cannons, tanks, flashballs, grenades in the parliament, like they do what happens every time something happens in Syria. You're absolutely right. Oh, World Bank. The World Bank, that's right. The guy who, the head of the World Bank, it's probably significant in some way. And I don't know. I didn't look into it very hard. I was really busy today, and I hate to say that I'm not up on something as important as that. But likely no coincidences. It's likely very important. What it means, I don't know yet. I can't answer it. I can speculate, but I can't answer. I can give you scenarios that you guys are already thinking through in your heads anyway. You can put your own in the comments. That'd be fine. I'm actually much more interested in this guy, Paul Whelan, right? Who got nipped by the Russians for being a spy last week. I'm interested in that one because as I tweeted out, like 5 minutes after I read that story, I'm like, huh. Paul Whelan Browder return. Oh, look, Bill Browder's on every friggin' news channel saying, we have to get this guy out of friggin' Putin's hands. Yeah, guess what? Yeah, like there's not a connection there. That wasn't hard. Are they going to replace him with a Goldman Sachs alumni? Yeah, possibly. Then yes. Something like that. It's, again, if they're moving people out of the way in major institutions on the eve of when they're dog whistling that there's going to be when they're prepping the narrative that there's going to be a crisis, and there's political instability in other in important, structurally and systemically important countries, then yeah, it's probably significant. Imagine, Trump's base, if they all actually demanded what needs to be demanded, right? Withdrawal from Syria and the Middle East, truth about Ukraine, the Russia hoax, all that stuff. But no, they're controlled opposition. They're Q-tars and cult followers. It drives me up. It drives me insane. Yeah, the Whelan, the guy with citizenship in the U.S., UK, Canada, Ireland, and somewhere else. Gee, that doesn't sound kind of strange. Yeah, it's obvious that this guy was either cleaning up stuff behind the scenes or a major conduit of information. The Russians caught him. This isn't tit for tat for Marina Butina, but if they're going to get him back, the Russians will ask for her. George Webb's been talking about Whelan, but I haven't had a chance to listen to it all. Yeah, I can't keep up with all of it. It's just, yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like he's either CIA, MI6, or both. The thing is that the Russians will demand her end. Thordum. Right? So they, it's one of those things. The Russians will argue for her simply because, yes, she's not a spy, but it's the right thing to do. But yeah, they're going to get something else out of this. Europe has been over for decades. Well, eventually, once the sovereign debt crisis, which was inevitable, right? Yeah, too many Q people trust the plan. It's insane. I mean, like I said the other day, it's a shame that a guy like Praying Medic, who's a very nice man and who used to be a follower here and used to be a regular here, and then he got his own following, and then they started praying in public on Periscope, and then it turned into the high priest. Then he turned into the high priest of Q. It's actually really quite sad, and I know that's mean because he doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve me being mean to him. But the truth of the matter is that, sorry, you're not helping the situation by following political horoscope. So I'll go for a real. There's going to be more to it than that. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you want Trump to do what you want him to do, you have to be angry with him. Okay? You have to abandon him. You cannot give in to his power fantasies. It's insane. PM is Q. He was outed. It's not Q. He's not that smart. He's and if he is, well, that's fine. Putin has decided to stop allowing the U.S. to harass and target its citizens, and this was a warning shot. Yeah, he really is. He really has gone loony around the bend. That's what happens when your left brain takes over. I mean, you literally stop seeing reality. Nice, man. Okay. Since she's pro guns. Yeah, I know, but the Russians have put up enough of a stink about her that it's tactically important, and it's it's also bad for it. It's also very bad optics. And remember, Putin is working really hard on his international image. Okay. And his domestic image as someone who cares about all Russians. This is very important. So I think politically, she's important, but he's going to go after he'll go after bigger fish than that. America won't even care about getting the CIA guy back from Russia. No, they really won't. We don't give a shit. Yeah, the only people who give a shit are the people like Bill Browder and people in the media. And guess what? That means he's their asset. Notice we're moving assets into the area around Crimea, and I read that Trump may be announcing something tomorrow night other than the southern border. I would not be surprised by that. Today, Trump told the press nothing had changed and his order to withdraw from Syria even after Bolton's declarations. What? So yeah, I didn't see that, Joanne. So thank you for pulling that out there. Bolton is trying, like Pompeo is trying to move Trump in his direction. I mean, let's not mince words here. This is what's really offensive about what John Bolton said. What was really offensive was that Bolton waited until he was in fucking Jerusalem, standing next to Bibi, the war criminal, and baby killer. Let's just get it out there. To announce what he says Trump is going to do. Like, he sets fucking policy. He's the national security advisor, for Christ's sake. He's not the fucking president. So, Pompeo and Bolton both, that Washington Post article that Moon of Alabama linked to, as that was in his January 5th article. Big article about all the machinations behind the scenes about what's going on with the pullout from Syria. If you read that carefully, it's very obvious that even the Washington Post reporters were like, Bolton's a little out over his skis here. Even the Pentagon's not down with his plan, and the whole thing is just patently insane. So, great, Joanne. Thank you very much. So I got to go back to a couple other things. I wanted to touch on something. The comments are coming in quickly enough that I have to be careful here and address them quickly, or I'm going to lose them. So Edward Abbey says, "Good evening. I noticed at Zero Hedge some people make snide comments about you under your articles. Is that more a question of envy?" I don't know what the hell it is, but it is what it is. It's Zero Hedge. They pride themselves on being jackasses, jerk-offs, and space monkeys. So a lot of them sometimes only read one or two articles here or there, and then they say their piece and they move on because they don't read everything I read. I write and get posted over there. So, and so they don't know the continuity of the arguments, and it is what it is. And people just abreact to words, right? They abreact to that article, forgetting the entire body of work that's come before it. And this happens all the time. And this is one of the downsides of what I do. So I don't take it personally when the guys over at Zero Hedge, give me shit. I'm like, well, yeah, whatever. It's Zero Hedge. They're not giving me shit. They're not engaged. I want people, it's Zero Hedge. And so, and half of the guys over there are friggin' are Soros paid trolls at this point anyway. There are a large number of people making huge sums of money off of Q. Yeah, there's a lot of money being made on YouTube and Periscope and blogs and Google AdWords and the whole 9 yards. So, Q's become an underground friggin' economy, and I'm not part of that. I don't give a fuck. So, whatever. Doc Cigar said that he has a White House friend that says Trump stopped watching Fox News and will withdraw from Syria. What do I think about that? I think Trump not watching Fox News anymore is the best news I've heard in 2 years. Trump's biggest fucking problem is that he spends too much of his time watching the media to see what they think of him and what they're saying about him than actually doing his fucking job. Somebody will just have to shave off Bolton's damn mustache for fuck's sake. Is that all he's got? It might take a war craziness to get the craziness out of him. No, I tell you, I ended my article that I have for Strategic Culture coming in a couple days. So Bolton goes around the Middle East trying to drum up support for his crazy plans, and then he's told flat out by everybody other than Israel, hey man, the 70s are over. Why don't you cut your stash? Because it's about as outdated as your view on geopolitics. I should just end the show right there because that line's that good. So, sorry, I'll be here all week. Try the shrimp cocktail. Let's see. What else we got? Did you ever see the pic of Bolton with virtual reality glasses on? Oh, my God. No, I really don't want to see John Bolton do anything. The press hates Bolton more than they hate Trump. Could the press be gunning for him? Bolton was brought in to clean out the leftists as well. No, they don't hate. They only kind of hate Bolton. Q is a scam. He said JFK tried to end government corruption. Have you read JFK's cabinet? Yeah, it's not anything to write home about. Mike Bernard, he can't. His mustache is a secret long-range bomber base. He's personally targeted by 143 countries. The press goes easy on Bolton. I find that amazing. He's a perfect villain, but he's their warmonger now, and they're majorly warmongers. There you go. Nicely said. Okay, Mr. Know-It-All. I think Deborah Haynes, I am foreign policy editor at Sky News, previously defense editor at the Times, should ask John Bolton, can you prove to me that you're not a neocon nutjob? Nice. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm checking out the link that Joanne just sent me. No different from my original statements. Good. So, yeah, what Bolton was doing was trying to set up a situation that couldn't be fulfilled, right? So you say Turkey must guarantee the safety of the Kurds, or they won't slaughter the Kurds. Well, how are you going to guarantee that? I mean, Erdogan was like, not what we're there for. So now Bolton is the new Cheney. So who's going to play John Bolton in the movie? Don't tell me Sam Elliott, because I like Sam Elliott too much for him to play John Bolton. I like Christian Bale too, and he played Dick Cheney, so maybe. All right, whatever. Because the movie about the Trump White House is going to be, just named Crazy Town. It'll be a musical. Or did they already make that called La La Land? All right, I'm sorry, never mind. All right, God, what else? 22 minutes left. What else am I going to fill my time with? I'm just like, this is insane. So, what else we got tonight, guys? Bolton's a new rumor. Is it true that Bolton hung out? What would the MIC do without the Kurds excuse? I don't know. That's literally all they had, and the Kurds are like, fuck you, we're negotiating with Assad. You people have fucked us over too many times. What's really sad is how blatant Bolton was in his attempt to construct the narrative and do so from Israel. That was really sad. Right. The whole purpose of I look, when you really stop to look at what these people are trying to accomplish with 2,000 troops, stated troops, there's actually probably closer to 3,000 or 4,000 in Syria. When you actually start to think about what it is that they're trying to accomplish with this small force, it's ludicrous. I mean, even the Washington Post had to bury that at the end of their article, for Christ's sake. It was insane. I mean, what's Pompeo up to? The same thing Bolton is. They're all running around. They're all running around the Middle East right now, trying to shore up allies with their stupid freaking plans to talk Trump out of pulling out of Syria. Forgive Christian Bale. He did a Spielberg movie when he was young. Yeah, they would like to keep as many we would like to keep as many air bases as possible. Why would we want to keep the air bases? Because they want to be able to they always wanted to be able to have control over Syrian airspace so that the Israelis could bomb farther out closer to Iran and force Iran to go home. Look, the truth of the matter is that Iran's going to go home the minute all of this shit ends. You know, this is a really simple solution. If the Americans go home, so will the Iranians. If you actually pick up the phone and talk to Zarif, the Iranian foreign minister, which we won't do, that's how fucking unbelievably unprofessional these jackasses are. They won't talk to anybody. Oh, that would be hysterical. That would be such a blow to even Trump. It would actually be really bad for Trump. But User 13 says the Turks should give lip service to the Americans, then have us leave, and then roll over the Kurds themselves. So that would be really bad. They don't need to do that. Yeah, Pompeo is absolutely sabotaging Trump. He works for Israel. Don't kid yourself. Same with Bolton. Same with Nikki Haley. Same with the rest of them. So, no, the Erdogan should only be doing what he's doing, which is pushing on Trump to leave the area. Because here, one of the things that Bernard over at Moon of Alabama brought up in his article, which was that Turkey lost containment on their pet jihadists in Idlib. They broke containment and they flooded into the militarized zone, the DMZ. They couldn't hold up their end of the bargain, meaning that agreement is going to fall apart now. The Russians and the Syrians are under no compunction to hold to the Turks. So the Turks are in no position to negotiate for anything with Syria and Russia and now the United States. So Erdogan did lip service. He promised to Trump he wouldn't slaughter the Kurds. It's on zero hedge. I know that. But what she's saying is that now he's still going to go in there and do that. The MIC is pivoting to Ukraine. The whole Crimea was the next bullshit. Yeah, well, I know that they're pivoting to Ukraine. They know that Syria is a lost cause. No, there's no way that Turkey can do all those things. Joanne says, I don't think Turkey can do Idlib, Afrin, and northeast Syria at the same time. Exactly. As the Turks pulled some troops out of Idlib in order to pressure Manbij and Iraq, they lost control in Idlib. Well, a battleship can't really do much. I mean, what are they going to do? The Kerch Strait's too shallow for just about any NATO ship. So if we're going to go after, the Russians at Crimea, over Crimea, and specifically the bridge, it's not going to be. It's not going to be a big ship. It's mostly going to be, yet again, more provocations to try and get the Russians to shoot first. That's the big thing. That's what's really animating them at this point. Can they manufacture a situation that will get the American people and get the European people to get behind a full NATO invasion of either Ukraine or the Donbass or Syria? Then Putin's just not falling for it. So everybody's got some really interesting there's a lot of interesting comments going through the board. I'm going to read some of them now to make sure that everybody understands them. So after the coup attempt, Erdogan wasn't even sure who to trust in his military. They were so tied to NATO. This is absolutely true. And look, at the end of the day, there's no... And then Thornton breaks up the fact that we've got all sorts of stuff happening in Turkey. You've got elections next year. You've got... The Syrians have an incentive to absorb the Kurds back into their army, the SDF into their army, to absorb the Kurds back into the territorial integrity of Syria and all of that stuff. And the problem with that is, of course, is that that empowers Assad in a way that is unacceptable. It's great for the world. It's bad for Israel. It's bad for the military industrial. It's bad for the DOD, and it's bad for the neocons. They don't like to lose, so they're trying to manufacture reasons why we need to fucking stay and throw even more resources at this stuff. While Bill Kristol cries in his fucking beer, that little fucking troll. So, no, Putin will never. Putin's not going to fall for this. He's not going to fall for some, stupid provocation. Winter is a terrible time for an offensive in Ukraine. It's muddy, it's wet, it's vicious, it's disgusting. So yeah, and then by then it won't matter because Nord Stream 2 will be finished. Yes. So they already know they've lost. So they already know they've lost. It's just a matter of they're trying to figure out ways to lose tactically, lose with some measure, with some amount of tactical position. They lost in Syria 2 years ago, but we've had to go through this fucking sham that they were going to be able to hold on to the area east of the Euphrates River for 2 years. But the Russians and the Iranians and the Syrians, they all knew what was going on. They all knew what they needed to do. Continue to just kill off pocket after pocket after pocket of the opposition all through the center of Syria, and then get to this point. And when we got to this point, it was always going to come up down to whether Turkey was truly on its jump sides or not. And we know what the answer to that is. So, and the dumbest goddamn thing we could have ever done was to invoke attempt to invoke a sovereign debt crisis and a currency meltdown in Turkey this summer. Again, these people are very smart, but they're not very clever. They keep thinking, well, let's trash their currency. That'll get them out of power. It doesn't work. Because he just turns around and goes, they're doing this to me. And he can sell that to his people. You think the average Turk trusts John Bolton more than they trust their fucking president? They didn't vote for John Bolton. I mean, this is what passes for thinking with these fucking people. Calling these people simpletons is an affront to cockroaches. It's otherworldly how dumb they are. They collectively, they get in the room together and neocons get dumber. The more you collect in one place, the dumber they get. They truly are a mob. The Kurds will make a deal with Assad. Everything will be fine. User 13. Whenever I tell anyone who the Ukrainians are, Banderists, i.e. Nazis, and about the Odessa slaughter, their opinion on Crimea changes completely. Then they understand that they were going to do what they did in Odessa to everybody in fucking Crimea. USS Fort McHenry en route to the Black Sea. They are aiming for a Hail Mary, in other words. But we send ships to the Black Sea pretty often. Yes, we do. So, you notice it's not the Donald Cook. We have to keep putting up the front that we're still fighting for our position there. If we don't, we just look weak. And but everybody already knows we're weak. Nobody's buying any of this shit anymore. I said this the day Putin moved those assets into Syria. I said, this is the time when somebody's finally going to stand up to the empire. Actually, I said it back in 2013. You guys weren't, none of us were talking back then. No, I said the minute that Putin brokered the deal. I said this to Camille. The minute Putin brokered the deal to keep Assad in power, to get the chemical weapons taken care of, so to stop the U.S. invasion after Parliament abandoned David Cameron, wouldn't join an invasion in Syria, I said, this is the beginning of the end. Then. Because somebody finally stood up to the United States and won. I said, it's going to be ugly. Now Putin's opened up a whole can of whoop ass. But this is where it starts to get interesting. Putin is busy trolling the U.S. Today, he said that Russia is going to sell soybeans and poultry to China and that the U.S. has basically given up that market. No time to play ships with him. Play with ships for him. I love it. Yeah, I mean, he's just killing it. He's like, yeah, we'll grow soybeans. Our agricultural sectors are going gangbusters. You know why? Because when the Central Bank of Russia raised interest rates to 16%, Putin's government was giving out agricultural loans at 3% and 4%. Those used to be the economic development loans that were given to the oil industry, and it caused a big row between him and Igor Sechin, the CEO of Rosneft, who was angry because he was cut off from cheap funding. Rosneft was cut off from cheap funding, but then again, Rosneft was the main reason that the ruble went from 35 to 80 because they had something like $50 billion in U.S. dollar-denominated debt that all had to be rolled over at the same time that December, and the Russian government had to bail them out for. Every Ukrainian I have spoken to in the diaspora are insane. They're completely insane. Other than you, User 13, you're the only rational one. Most of them I've spoken to like half a dozen in the last couple of years, and they're all just out absolutely loony around the bend about Putin and the rest of it. One day the idiots will provoke the Russians and the Russians will respond. Yes, they will raise the ante, and they also say, what are you going to do about it? Well, mostly what they've been doing, WTM, is they've been doing parallel aggression. We do this, they do something similar. Right? We shoot down an Su-20. We shoot down a Sukhoi. They wipe out some U.S. and British special forces at a base they're not supposed to be at. So we can't publicize their deaths because they're not there. Bill Kristol is going to bring back some version of the Weekly Standard. Good for him. Yeah, he needs to get someone needs to pound sand up that asshole, that rat's asshole. That's it. Someone needs to pound sand up that rat's asshole. And hey, if it's going to be this guy Pierre Alderman, whatever. I love watching rich people pour their money down the fucking drain. It makes me so happy. Every time George Soros pays another troll to send stupid comments that I junk to my blog, I consider it a win. That guy spent half an hour making a new account, writing up some fucking cheesy, stupid shitting thing, and I go, think, half an hour? Beep. 13 seconds. I'm winning. And the soy won't be GMO, yes. So the Bulwark will now be Weekly Standard, Redux, Neocon Opinion Rag. I know, well, there's still not a ton of them on the market. The Diplomat, the South China Morning Post, which is owned by fucking Rupert Murdoch, which is a piece of shit fucking rag. But if you want to know what the neocons are thinking about China, read the South China Morning Post. Good night, Colleen, and I hope your kid feels better. 103 temperature is no joke. In Nebraska, the USDA claims that our food exporting business is important to national security by making other countries dependent on us to eat. I don't know. They say a lot of things to justify their government subsidies and the reason why they exist. Right? So All right, what else we got? 6 minutes. God, I have been able to keep this going for 55 minutes, and I really didn't think I would. Yeah, I just watching this play out. Europe is in trouble. I mean, to put a bow on this, watching Salvini's only going to get more popular out of this. Okay, Macron is only going to get less popular. Now he's talking about, like I said on the top of this, now that he's talking about, you know, creating even stricter laws against demonstrations. I'm like, the police are already stretched to the gills. You're not paying them overtime. Half of them are joining in with the yellow vests every freaking weekend, and you're gonna give them even more power to do what? Actually, what? Start shooting people? Dude, you do that, and they're just going to friggin' storm the Bastille and wring your neck. And that'll be that. So. Oh, shit, I forgot all about that, Stoyanovich. That no one talks about the secret base in Aleppo that was wiped out by the Russians. Populated with NATO troops, Israeli, Jordanians, and Saudis. One of the main reasons Aleppo fell rather easily. The other reason why Aleppo fell rather easily is because the Turks didn't back them up. The Turks didn't allow Aleppo to be reinforced. At the time, if you remember, you had a whole bunch of Turkish-backed Jaish al-Islam in Idlib, and they were using Turkey to go around the mountain range where the Su-24 was shot down. That little isthmus into Syria. So you have like, let's see if I can do this right. You had Idlib over here. You had Idlib over here, and Aleppo over here, and they were going around into Turkey and then back into Aleppo in order to reinforce it. And that, when that didn't happen, that's what helped. That's what made the siege of Aleppo a much easier task than it would have been otherwise. And the fact that, yes, we had people there, which I did, now that I think about it, you reminded me, I did know that was there. And that's part of the reason why we were so fucking adamant about Aleppo can't fall, because, you know, the Russians could have easily outed the fact that they were there. And then that would have been ugly. And the Russians didn't do that. Again, think about the number of times that Putin could have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt to everybody the world over what the fucking real story in Syria is, and he hasn't done it. Think about that really carefully. He's trying desperately to give Israel and the United States and the Saudis a way out of this with some of their reputation still intact, because it doesn't behoove them, him or anybody else, to win by and make them lose face, because if we lose too much face, we'll have nothing left to lose. So it's really, really sad. So yeah, it's just freaking crazy at this point. Sorry, I thought I had some a note come in from somebody else. What gives me, Thordum, I'm right with you. So what gives me incredible pleasure, this is Thordum, is watching the UK's secret disinformation operation Integrity Initiative exposed. It is so funny to watch and read what they're doing. You know, I don't know if you guys watched the BBC's recent incarnation of Sherlock, you know, with Benedict Cumberbatch or Bandicoot, Curmudgeon, and Martin. God, what the fuck is his name? All right, never mind. Martin Freeman, which were really, really good. But every time I watch some crazy shit come out of the mouths of obvious MI6, all I can think of is Sherlock's brother, which now again escapes my name. That's all I can see is God, what the fuck is Sherlock's brother's name? Holy shit, I cannot believe this. It's just, that's all I can see, right? Is Mark Gatiss playing that guy that way, and they just, oh, you know, it's what they do. Mycroft, thank you. God, I can't, I'm really really struggling today. It's actually, it's crazy. So thank you, Mycroft Holmes. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Yeah, it is interesting watching all this play out, that Green Penguin, that we're starting to see new winners and new losers. But it is, when you really stop to think about this, right? Putin has shown amazing restraint. Amazing restraint in not exposing everything he knows. It's not just that that intelligence has value, because I know that it has value, but he could easily have dripped out so much more information about this stuff that would force the United States to deny it, and then he could prove it otherwise. Okay? And it would just put them completely on the defensive all the time, as opposed to just sitting there and letting them constantly set the narrative tone. But so David Brock, oh yeah, I saw that. David Brock was like, no, Bernie will not be allowed to run in 2020. Of course he won't be. It's like, it is what it is. It's obvious that, you know, they're going to make sure that they handpick their candidate. That candidate will win, and that will be the end of it. And there will be no discussion about this. We're going to ensure that we get rid of the rabble from the White House. The US, UK, and elites aren't as brilliant and genius as they'd like us to believe. No, they're not. Again, I keep saying these people think they're the smartest people in the room, but they're not smarter than the room. You got millions of people who are smart, if not smarter than they are, can debunk their bullshit in real time now. Brock is an incredibly creepy guy, period. But if you've met him, I'm sorry. People should not have to be subjected to such filth in their life. It's too bad that we have to. All right, that's enough. My voice is starting to go. It's an hour and 3 minutes, and I'm tired. You guys, you've been great tonight. Really, you guys kind of really, to be honest with you, carried the show. So I appreciate it. I really do. Great day. We've had a great week on YouTube. We picked up over 100 people. We're up over 1,350 people here on YouTube now. That's great. It's fantastic. It's humbling. I was on the front page of Zero Hedge today. It was actually the top story for about an hour and a half, which I haven't done in a while, which is really, really good. So this has been the Gold, Goats, and Guns Hour. If you like what you heard tonight, give a like and subscribe down below. Click the little bell for notifications for when I do something cool, or at least something, exceedingly average. Either way, I'm good. Just watch, like, and subscribe and share, because that's all that matters. Because, why else do we fucking do this? Because we have truth that needs to be told. And we're only going to do it if we do it together. All right, you guys take care. You have a great night. We'll talk soon. You keep your stick on the ice.